We have a question from Wes. Do you
Thank
think,
you.
and I'm going to direct it towards Kenny and Monica since they're the guests, do you think that you're more moral since you've left the church?
Mm-hmm.
I do. I feel more moral since leaving because my basis for doing things, like you said, maybe to improve quality of life or to help people in any way, used to be based out of, well, this is what I should do because I'm a Christian. This is what God would want me to do. It was, although I may not have termed it in this way exactly, but it was more in a sense of obligation. And now I do things. I do things to help people because I want to.
Yeah, you want to make them happy and minimize suffering and help. Yeah, we had a German exchange student stay with us for a little while, and just he didn't have anywhere to stay for a couple of days, and we met him at a game night, and we let him stay with us. And when he was leaving, he was like, "Your hospitality meant more because you're not Christian. You're not trying to like convert me or something." Like,
ergo, that's a tough philosophical conundrum. My wife and I, we recently just had a dispute about whether or not, and to what extent, if so, we should, how do I put this? Reward mediocrity. That is, to reward that which you should be doing anyway, right? My wife and I went through a very long conversation because she had a conversation with my son, and it kind of rubbed the wrong way with me about how we ought to take something as simple as the fact that my son got essentially a golden star. They call it green cards now for whatever reason, but he got a golden star for his class, and he came home and he was like, hey, mama, I got a golden star. Does that mean I get a prize? And Mama says, this is our dispute. She says, look, you shouldn't expect to get a reward for doing the bare minimum. That's essentially what she that was her contention.
Is the golden star the bare minimum?
In order to get the golden star, you need to have a green. And what I mean by green is the stoplight system: green, yellow, red. Green means you were good, yellow means you were maybe a little fussy, and red means you were bad. And
Caleb,
so,
move to your right 3 inches. Thank you.
And so, her contention is that, look, he's just doing what is expected of him. Why should we reward him? And my contention was, because it's easy to fall out of habit of even doing that which you think is common sense and is it to be expected. Think like the fucking dishes or doing your bed. Right? Like, there's no reason to make your fucking bed in the morning. You don't have to. What's the fucking point of that? Really? Think about it. Yeah.
Looks nice.
I'm just kidding. I don't do it.
But honestly, I think you should feel good about yourself for just doing these little steps. Like these are the little things that add up.
So we do have another question I want to get to.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
unless you had a question attached to that. Caleb.
No, honestly, let's leave where you're going with
by the way,
this.
is in between you and your wife. But Randolph, our Canadian friend, asked, when you were religious, did you believe that there was an objective moral standard? I think we kind of answered that, but I'll let you answer anyway. And then he goes
That's
on.
great. This is great. I'm sorry. This is perfect.
And if you don't now, what was the transition concerning objective morality like for each of you?
Perfect
a lot
question.
more difficult. I did used to believe that there was some sort of ultimate good that we were like searching for, and that, you know, if we prayed hard enough, if we got closer to God's will, we could like figure out the right answer. And now everything is much more difficult. Like, you have to read, and you have to like really put yourself in other people's positions and empathize, and you have to work hard mentally to get like anywhere. And then there still might not be, like, maybe both choices just suck and it's going to be terrible, and so you just have to pick your best, you know, like there's not even a right answer. And so everything is much harder now to decide on morality.
Do you agree, Kenny?
I do. And as far as like the transition, part of it was just really looking at morality historically. and seeing how morality has adapted and changed as society has adapted and changed throughout history, and how, 4,000 years ago, we, humans had a standard of morality that was based upon a zero-sum game, and, might is right. Right.
Why do you think that the most current standard is the standard we should be striving for? In other words, like it sounds like you're saying that we've been improving, like things are better now than they had been, the better angels of our nature. Why do you think that's the case? Why do you think things have been getting better as opposed to things stagnant or getting worse?
Just the data.
What do you mean by that? In other words, like honestly, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Quality of life seems to have improved dramatically overall across the globe. And while obviously right there that it's disproportionate in different areas, it's most certainly improved compared to what it was. And now we're at a point where we've achieved a system where we don't necessarily have a zero-sum game when it comes to resources. And we have enough to be able to share. And it seems like a large number of people are of that moral mindset of, well, why don't we? Why don't we share it? Why aren't we spreading it around? Why aren't we making it less or more proportionate across the globe? And so that seems, and I say seems because I'm not sure I agree with the statement that I think we've achieved the best, but it seems better than us being at each other's throats.
Yeah, and
I've read it.
I just wanted to say really quick on Monica's point about having it be much harder now because you have to think. This is the thing with religious moral systems, and I use the word systems lightly because I don't think that they're systems. I think that they're just edicts. Religion doesn't tell people how to resolve moral dilemmas. Bibles and Qurans and holy books, they don't tell you how to resolve a moral dilemma, because in the Bible there's no such thing as a moral dilemma. Right. It gives you all the answers. Certain things are clearly right, not sinning, and certain things are clearly wrong. And so when you get to an actual moral dilemma, you may or may not make the correct decision if you just default to what the book says, and then
it's in God's hands anyway.
Yeah, it's in God's hands. It's not, you just do what the book says. And if it results in a death or suffering, it's not your problem. That's the result of sin and evil in the world or whatever. When you throw the books away and you actually have to start thinking and making moral decisions, then you have to start looking at, quality of life, actions, impact, results, utilitarianism, doing the most good that's going to result in the least amount of harm, lingering, is it going to be a small amount of harm versus lingering harm, the lesser of two evils. These are things that like holy books and religious doctrines can't help you solve. And so it forces you to think, but because of that, you learn. And I think morality is a system. It's a learning process, which is why it seems to have gotten better. We know more now about how to do the best for the most amount of people than we did before. And on the point that Kenny made,
well, that unto itself is a realization that morality requires us to even consider most people as opposed to just ourselves.
Yeah, and on the point that Kenny made also with it seems to be a net positive in the world. I disagree with that a little bit. I do think it is positive in the United States and in Western civilization. But then when you go to some of the lesser developed countries and especially the really religious countries and really conservative countries, morality has not gotten better. I don't know if any of you are following the news.
To be fair, that's the contention. That's the contention. Look, I just want to be honest. Morality is certainly not something like gravity where we can measure it and be like, this is definitely morality and this is definitely not. So this is the contention being made. However, I do tend to agree with you. And the reason why I tend to agree with you is that by and large, secular morality is based on actual secular facts. Ergo, they're secular. whereas theistic morality tends to be based on conception. This thing is good relative to some thing that I aspire to be the best possible thing. That to me is the most clear difference.
It's not even really that, Caleb, in Christianity. It's this thing is good because the self-proclaimed best possible thing deems it good.
Yeah.
Whether you recognize it as the greatest thing or not is irrelevant in Christianity. It tells you that it is.
Well, see, here's the thing, though. Like, if you think that the best possible thing ever among all of history and future, past, present, etc., is to reject the homosexual ideals as evil, then what we have here is a contention, because what you would say is, well, of course that's wrong. But how do we suggest that this is fact?
Well, I say a question that we discuss in depth in the Discord.
Oh,
and
don't make me.
Monica, you are welcome to the Discord if you choose. I don't know if you guys have time to participate in that, but we will have a link to the Discord because we do have to wrap it up. And with the last question, we're going to go to a friend of mine, Josh.
Real quick. I just want to interrupt by saying that I don't mean to undermine us secularists with that last question. I was merely attempting to play devil's advocate, and it failed miserably, apparently. So I want to drop that.
It's a good question, though, and we are going to follow up in the Discord. Hey, Wes, do me a favor, highlight PSF's comment again. And basically, it's if any of you are watching, I need to say hello to the audience, by the way, because I forgot to do that on this show. So hello, Josh from PSF. Theoretically, we have Randolph we spoke to earlier. Wes is back there. Cafe, I appreciate you showing up. We get into it every now and again with Cafe, but
I like Cafe and something. What was it? What was the Uranus one guy? What was his? I know you know what I'm talking about. Titan Uranus. I love that guy. We
got Kat the Humanist back there too. So I'm not sure if Kat can join us or not, but it's always great hearing from us. So yeah, thank you guys in the chat. And we are going to wrap it up. And I think Kenny and Monica, I don't know if you guys said you would join us in the Discord. You will be there. Awesome.
Oh, please.
So you guys watching in the chat, you guys viewing not in the chat, if you are interested in continuing the conversation or you have questions for Kenny and Monica, join us in the Discord and the link will be in the chat. But
I have a question. No, come on, get cut off. You cut off, bitch. All right.
Go ahead, ask the question.
All right. Look, my question is honestly a little bit of this devil's advocate, but honestly, what do you think is I'm gonna give the theist every benefit here. I shouldn't be doing this, but what do you think is the weakest points of your deconversion? What do you think? And I want to talk. The reason why I bring this up is because I really want to talk about this in the after party, because this is the thing. Whatever it is that you think is the weakest contention against your deconversion, like the weakest reason why you think you should leave, I think is probably the most pressing issue, because my hunch is that that's pretty ubiquitous. What do you think is the weakest reason for leaving theism?
Interesting.
And let me rephrase, in your leaving theism. Like if you were to think back and go, okay, you know what? I have to admit, this is an emotional argument, which I agree to, but whatever. Like I can do that. I can do that with my arguments. I can agree that certain of my arguments are relatively emotional. I'm just trying to be honest about our positions here.
All right, let's see if they have an answer.
Yeah, where you got?
Do you have an answer for that, or?
I suppose if I'm pressed for an answer, I think it might be that I suppose on an emotional level, viewing this God as an evil God because of the choices that he makes.
That is the correct answer.
Yeah.
And so let's elaborate more on that. Is that the answer you were looking for, Caleb?
I was honestly looking for one of two things: either the moral objection, which was given, or the objection to there must be some consciousness to explain all of this. So either one of those two.
That was mine. Okay.
Thank you. Those seem to be the two greatest arguments that theists have. Not to say that they're good arguments, but I will admit that they do seem to have some power of persuasion.
I do think, for the record, I think the moral argument is the weakest argument for leaving theism, but I'll elaborate on that more in the Discord. And we are over. So, like I said, if you guys want to continue, join us in the Discord that we will have. Our Discord chats follow most of our PSF shows.